of the eye. It has to deal with that. And the neural circuits within the brain have to cope with changes in smooth pursuit. So if you're doing a lot of reading up close, you're not viewing horizons, you're not getting a lot of smooth pursuit type stimulation from your life, or you're just getting it within the confines of a little box on your phone, your vision will get worse. The idea is that you want to use the visual system regularly for what it was designed for, and smooth pursuit is a great way to keep the visual and motion tracking systems of the brain and the eye and the extraocular muscles working in a really nice coordinate fashion. So what does this mean? The tool is spend 2 to 3 minutes doing smooth pursuit. There's some programs on YouTube. You can just look up smooth pursuit stimulus. Practice accommodation for a few minutes, maybe every other day. Just bringing something in close. You'll feel the strain of your eyes doing that. Move it out. You'll feel a relaxation point. Move it past that relaxation point where you will have to do what's called a vergence eye movement to maintain focus on that location as it moves out. Bring it back in. Practice that. Practice accommodation, and then be sure to give your eyes some rest. Get outside, look at a horizon, or do nothing. Just kind of let your eyes go soft. I guess what the yogis would call soft gaze. Practice a little bit of smooth pursuit. You don't have to be neurotic about this, but if you do this often enough, meaning every other day, every third day or so, you can be the strange person on the plane or in the classroom doing this. That people might chuckle or look at you funny or tease you, but that's okay because you'll be able to see when they are losing their vision. So you'll get the last laugh. Let's talk about binocular vision and lazy eye. The young brain up until about age 7, but maybe even extending out until about age 12, is extremely vulnerable to differences in ocular input between the two eyes. My scientific great-grandparents won the Nobel Prize for discovering so-called critical periods of time in which the brain is more plastic, more able to change. Those two guys, David Hubel and Torsten Wiesel, thank you, David and Torsten, forever changed the face of visual neuroscience and forever changed the way we think about treatment of the young brain. It used to be thought that you wouldn't want to do a surgery on a young kid because of risk of anesthesia in young individuals. But we now know that you need to repair these imbalances, that even a few hours of occluding one eye early in life can lead to permanent, unless something's done, permanent changes in the way that the brain perceives the outside world, such that when that eye is opened up again, the brain actually can't make sense of anything that's coming through it. It shuts down that visual pathway somehow. So what does this all mean in terms of protocols? If you're a young person, do your best to get really good binocular vision, not just at level of your phone or your tablet, but also at distance. You will build strong binocular visual machinery in the brain and at the level of the eyes and the eye musculature. Now, if you're somebody who did have an occlusion, what's needed is to cover up the other eye to create an imbalance so that the weak eye, the so-called lazy eye, this is sometimes referred to as amblyopia, that eye has to work harder. Now, you might ask, what happens if you cover both eyes early in life? There are some like retreats and stuff where people go into caves with absolutely no vision. It creates hallucinations. We'll talk about why that is in just a moment. But here's my suggestion. Try and get balanced visual input through the two eyes. Almost everybody has a dominant eye. It usually doesn't relate to your dominant hand, although it can. And so for me, if I cover up my right eye, I see much less well, much more poorly. It's a little bit fuzzy and I have to work harder in order to see the camera, for instance, than if I cover up my left eye. And if you do have strong imbalances between the two eyes, which can be caused by cataract and lens issues, can be caused by neuromuscular issues, et cetera, to try and get those dealt with as early as possible by contacting a really good ophthalmologist and ideally a neuro-ophthalmologist. It's very common for young children, babies, to have an eye that with strabismus that either deviates out or that deviates in. It is important to correct that if you would like to have balanced vision between the two eyes and for the brain to respond equally to the two eyes and to have, I would say, high fidelity quality vision. Hallucinations are a property of the visual system, and it was always thought that hallucinations arise because of overactivation or activation of certain aspects of the visual system. I just briefly want to mention a paper that was published by my good friend and phenomenal scientist and physicist, for that matter, Chris Neal, who's up at the University of Oregon in Eugene. They studied LSD-like compounds and discovered that hallucinations actually occur because portions of your brain become underactive. The visual portions of your brain are understimulated. This is probably why when people go into these cave retreats, something I've never done, I don't think I ever will do, where it's completely black, pretty soon they start hallucinating. They start seeing things even though there's nothing there. The visual system is desperate to make guesses about what's out in the world. It's like the eager beaver of your brain. It's like, what's out there? What's out there? What's out there? So it turns out that hallucinations are an underactivation of the visual system and then a compensation by which the visual system creates activity and hallucinations. So if you're in the dark long enough, you start to hallucinate and see things. So that's a little note about hallucinations. One of the things that you can do to improve your vision, and it's also kind of fun, is to put a Snellen chart in your home. A Snellen chart is that list of letters, or if you go to the dreaded Department of Motor Vehicles, have you cover up an eye, read the letters on the chart. The letters, of course, get smaller and smaller. They're trying to figure out roughly what your vision is. Cover up the other eye. You'll do that. This is something that's not often mentioned, but your performance on the Snellen chart will vary depending on time of day, because your level of fatigue and your ability to control that accommodation and other mechanisms of the eye muscles will vary. So you can take it as an average. It's also a good thing if you're going to get your vision tested for corrective lenses, or maybe you're going to do laser surgery or something of that sort. If you're thinking about any of that, to really get it measured by a professional, get your vision tested by somebody who really understands vision, like an ophthalmologist or a really good optometrist. If you put a Snellen chart in your home, you can do that as part of your visual training. Now, this might seem excessively nerdy, but what is more important than your eyesight, right? Eyesight is so vital. It's right up there with movement and our ability to move, to generate, to get up out of chairs and to walk and to run and to take care of ourselves. Eyesight and movement are the main ways that we are able to take care of ourselves and take care of others. When you start having compromised